I grew up here on the reservation. Um, I was raised in the boarding school up until the age of 12. And then I lived in the city, Albuquerque, for a couple years. I came back to Dulce, and I didn't really know too much about my culture as I was growing up. Later on in life, I started learning more about it and the basket, the art of the basket weaving. I started working at the Culture Resource in the early 80s with Lydia Posada. She had a program going on there, and she was teaching a lot of the ladies how to make the Jicarilla baskets. So I worked there for a couple years, and that's where it all began. And I continued over the years. It's been like over 30 years, I would say. I think I was like about 12 years old when I left and moved away and lived in the city, like I said, for, a couple of years. When I was a little girl, I went in the old arts and crafts, and I seen some of the grandmas there weaving baskets. I could smell the material, the sumac and the sticks, and I was in awe, just walking around looking at the baskets and wondering what they were making, and not knowing that, 30 years later that I would be doing the same thing. And I love basket weaving, going out and collecting the material, to preparing it, to actually weaving and making a basket. I've made so many over the years, different shapes, sizes, and I get orders, and I just love it. I collect the material in the late fall. I like to go when the first snow falls, so then I know that there's no snakes or anything around. All the way to early spring, which is like April. So I usually collect all my material. I gather the sumac sticks, coil, and also the willow, because we use two different sticks. The sumac, you would have to split it into twos or threes, depending on how thick the stick is, and then gut it, the middle part, take the inside out, and leave the bark on for it to dry. It usually takes maybe 2 to 3 weeks, depending on how dry the air is. And once it dries, you can store it away, or you can peel off the bark. Once you peel off the bark, then you would have to soak it to clean it and shave it. And then you know that some of them are weak, some of them are strong. Separate them, and then you would shave them to the size you're going to use, and then you would dye them different colors, whatever color you're going to use. With the willow, you would do the same thing, but for the bark, you would boil the stick to take the bark off. So I usually boil mine for a couple of days until the bark comes off. With the willow, you just take the bark right off. It just falls right off, and then the same thing, you would shave it to the size you're going to use, and then you can color it also. It'll have like a darker shade than the sumac. I use commercial dye most of the time because it's more brighter, but I am experimenting with natural dye. I tried choke cherries, and that came out really like a real light purple. Came out really pretty, and I made a basket, few baskets with that dye. But I also wanted to try some other, maybe bark or some other natural dyes. And like this basket that I'm weaving, the brown is the willow, so that's a natural color, and the white is the sumac. So you can tell the difference, and this is the commercial dye that I'm adding. Well, this pattern is like a star, and these are the mountains right here. And I also have the crosses that we use a lot in our baskets. I sometimes I go by the traditional designs, or sometimes I just kind of, whatever comes to my mind, I just put it out there. Most of the time I just start it, and then whatever comes to mind, I just kind of go with that. With some of the ladies I work with, I think we kind of all know, like, when we see a basket, who that basket belongs to. Like, well, I guess working with some of the ladies for so long, that we've seen their style and their you can tell the difference between, from one person to the next. My great grandmother, I want to say my great great grandmother, my mother had given me a basket that her grandma had made, and it was given to this one lady that lived in California. She had it for years and years, and she returned it and she gave it back to my mother. I just happened to be there at the time, and I had asked her if I could have that basket. So she had given it to me, and I was so happy. And it's still in good shape. I'm really surprised, and I still have it till this day, and it really inspires me every time I look at it. And just looking at all these old baskets, it's just like gives me inspiration, like the bright colors and the patterns. Just like makes me think, like, I wonder what this person was thinking when they were working on this basket, And all this material is just out there. I mean, we just got to put in the work and gather it, and we don't have to pay for anything. It's just there, and waiting for us to make use of it. It's given to us, and I'm thankful. I thank Mother Earth when I go and gather my material, and I don't waste it. I do all my sticks, even if I get more than what, bundles, I make sure that I split all my sticks and store them away for when I'm ready to use them. We gather the material from the earth, and it's provided for us, and we just need to gather the material and use it right, and don't waste it, and thank Mother Earth for providing it for us. And before I go out to gather my sticks, I pray, and that it's going to be a good day, and that I'm going to find a lot of sticks, and just being positive about everything, and everything falls into place. At the end of the day, I'm happy with what I bring back and what I can use, and my work is cut out for me, and I get started. There's plenty of willow everywhere, like down at the river. And I love to use willow. Willow is really strong, and the brown, it's like a different shade. And every time you boil the willow, it's like it's not going to come out the shade that you did before. It's going to come out darker or lighter. So whatever the shade is, I just work with it. But we used to gather down at the river, but we're in competition with the cows down there, so and they usually get to it before we do. So we were lucky. If I'm lucky, I'll get to a couple of good ones on there. But the sumac is the one that's kind of hard to find around here because that's the one the cows love to get to. So that's the one we go and to another reservation to. We get a permit and we cut because they have plenty where we go, and unfortunately, they don't have any more basket weavers there. It died out, so that's sad. And when I heard that, I was like, it can't happen here, and that's why I'm trying to do my part and to teach. And I did teach a class. I taught a class and to some young boys and girls, and they all completed the basket, and I was very proud that they did in 1 week. But they didn't collect the material or anything. We didn't have time for that, so I provided all the material, and the sticks, the coil, everything was provided, colors, and so they had 1 week to work on it. And at the end of the week, they all completed the basket. So I was very proud of each one of them. And just to sit there, it was really nice because it had snowed that day, and we were just looking at the snow, and everyone was just quiet, and everyone was just like concentrating on their basket. And I was like, wow, this is something. And after that, there's been more, ladies that have been coming and asking me if I was going to teach a class again, because they really want to take this class. Older ladies. So we're planning a class in the fall time for some older adults. They'll be going out and gathering their material and starting it from the beginning to the end. So the whole process, yeah. And I think that would, for me, to really get out there to them, bring in more basket weavers, and that is what I'm trying to do. I mean, because we got to keep this going. This can't stop, Just having that good, positive energy, and just clear mind. You got to have a clear mind when you're working on any kind of work. Being positive. I like meditate. It helps me. I got to get myself together and feel at peace and feel whole. Get myself where I want to be, and then get out there. But this also helps too. Working on a basket. It's really good for your mind and soul, and just you don't even think of anything. You're just thinking about what you're doing and your next design, or where am I gonna, that's what goes through my mind. We use them for like ceremonial purposes. Some people use them for show. Some people use them to dance with. Some pueblos, they order baskets from me, and they use them for their use also. So that makes me feel good too. That they're after using them in that way. I feel like when I go out and cut, I feel connected. It's so peaceful, and just being out there cutting. I mean, I just love it, just going out there and just hearing the birds and just listening to all that out there, the nature, the water, just feeling connected. And then you're out there looking for the sticks, and then you come across a whole bunch by the river, and just listening to that and just cutting all day, and it's just real peaceful. And I look forward to that every year. Because there's people that live in the city, and all they hear is horns and all the loud noises. But just being out there and just hearing that, it's just like it's a different place where I love to be, away from the chaos. I wish that more people would have that connection and find peace, but I don't know. It's just my thoughts. It's just the way I feel, anyways. Yeah, I think if everyone had that connection, it would be so awesome. With today, with everything that's all the new technology, the phones, the computers, laptops, tablets, it pulls people away from, nature. That's a lot of distraction. Like my daughter, she was living in Albuquerque for a while, going to school, and I think she was there like maybe 4 years or so, and she came back. She's working in Dulce now, but I know she misses like the lakes, like fishing and just hunting, because she's a big hunter. She loves to hunt, and just being out there. And she also does. She makes baskets and does beadwork, and when she has time to do that, she'll do that. But I taught her how to do the baskets, and she made quite, I would say like maybe 5 or 6, but that made me proud, knowing that I taught her and I could teach more. I just want to really get out there and teach more people. If I can do that, that would make me so happy. When I first was hired there, I was working with the older ladies, the grandmas there, and a lot of them passed on, even my old boss, and they taught me a lot, and I seen a lot of the old baskets that they had on display, and I would look at them and just look at the shapes, the sizes, the colors, what they were thinking when they were weaving. Like some of them were made in the 60s and 70s, and to see that we're here today and we're still, weaving. At that time, there was the older ladies were still weaving, but when I started, I felt like I had to prove myself, because I wasn't really known, and so I sat there the whole time, just constantly shaving my strands, and I made a lot of baskets. I remember taking a stack into my boss's office, and she was in awe that I did that, and I think I shocked myself also. Yeah, I remember all those memories. It's just, and just over the time we were working at this old building, and now we moved to a different place, and from that time till now, yeah, there's been a lot of changes, and I see that we're moving ahead. There's the young ones that are working there. I think we're really getting out there now on the internet, and people are, you know, knowing who we are, that we're here, we're still here, we're still making baskets. And another thing I do is I enter my basket at the New Mexico State Fair every year. Since I started working, I think it was in 98. I started in 97 at the Arts and Crafts. 98, I got a ribbon. In 99, I got a Best of Show. And every year I've been getting ribbons for beadwork or baskets. Best of Show. Here, you know, first place. The main thing what I'm trying to do is put our work out there to show that we're still here and we're still making baskets, and because I don't want people to think that, you know, we're at the Jicarillas, you know, they don't make baskets anymore. Or that's why I do that every year and try to make a basket and enter it, or beadwork, whatever I have. I love to make deer jerky, the traditional way. So like when I'm not really a hunter, and I don't have patience to hunt.
Right.
So I leave that to my daughter. But I love to make the jerky, cutting the dry meat and making it traditional, hanging it on the line, cutting it up with the knife. And I used to do that for people. They used to bring me their deer or elk, and I would cut it and hang it up on the line. And yeah, I used to do that a lot. And I still do, like with the jerky, I'll do that for myself. If I get drawn for a deer, I usually jerky the whole deer. That's one thing I love to do too. But I would make jerky for, I had this one customer that used to ask me every year, and he would bring his elk, and it would come out to 2 huge bags. I would sew like probably like 4 flour sacks together, so it would be 2 big, huge bags, and he would be so happy. The water does play a very important role, because it has to make it flexible to work with, because it's dry. They're dry. I usually put them in bundles and store them away if I'm not going to use them. But once I'm going to use them, then I got to soak them in water and get them to where they're flexible, so that when I'm weaving with it, they'll bend easy. And also, I got to continue wetting the basket as well. So water is very important. If they dry out and you're done for the day, then you can let them dry, and then tomorrow if you want to work on it again, then you can put them back in the water. And I usually put it in hot water and let it soak. If you put it in hot water, it don't take too long for them to get soft, maybe 5 minutes. But like if it's cold, it takes a little bit longer for it to soak. I made a couple of big baskets, and the last row, you got to start when the sun comes up, and you got to make sure it's done before the sun goes down. So I learned that from the big baskets, working on it all day. Yeah, it feels like I accomplished something huge, you know, like this. Wow, I made this basket out of these sticks here, you know, and it's like you see these sticks out there, and do you see them? They're just like sticks, you know, and there's like, I look at them like that is a lot of work. One of the baskets is a water jug. I love to make the water jugs. Um, the last one I did, I collected tree sap from the pinon trees, and then you get like depending on how big the jug is, you'll want to get the gum from the tree, and you liquefy it, and you pour it into the jug and coat it inside to waterproof it. And you got to be really quick about that because it dries pretty quick. And you got to be careful with it also because it's like glass. Once you coat the inside, then you have to handle it with care. If you drop it, it's going to shatter. But it does hold water. And then some of the older baskets, they have the coating on the outside also. Yeah, there's some that have coating on the inside and outside, so it's kind of up to the person that's weaving if they want to put it on the inside and outside. I'm just more into the basket than anything else, I think. Like with I learned how to make moccasins, so I've been making moccasins. I made these moccasins. I also sew Apache dresses, and I also make pottery. I did make one couple of pottery with half pottery and half basket. This keeps me busy all the time. Even when I go to bed at night, I think about designs or colors, or it's like if it's not beadwork, it's baskets or a shape or a water jug or a tray. I'm really hoping that more young ones get want to learn. I'm here to teach. I don't want it to be lost. I just want it to continue to the next generation and keep going because this is who we are. This is part of our culture. And I feel that it's very important to us. I would be so happy if someone just came and, they start picking it up and they're really, if they can show me they can be better than me, then I know that I came across to them. And that would make me very happy and proud.